Welcome everyone to our Fall Frenzy collab. So today our host is Leah from Make All the Things With Me, and our co-host is Corey from Creative Roots Art. And today we have to use sunflowers and the color lavender. So we're going to make that work in with what we have here in our print. Podge, and I do use the multi Mod Podge. I love the way it goes on. We're going to dry it just a little bit and then I'm going to iron it. You don't have to dry it all the way. You just want a little bit of a dry so it's a little bit tacky. And I just use a sponge to put mine on. These are just the little bath sponge you can buy at the Dollar Tree and use them. I'm using a beautiful Reba Rose fall print today. I just love this. This will be pretty with sunflowers. I'm going to add a little lavender into it, and maybe you don't usually see a lot of lavender in fall, but you definitely can use it because any color will go. Any color will go with that. And you got to use your imagination and just be a little different. And then just kind of go out to the side. That's going to help seal your sides. And we will tear that a little later. Let's let it dry really well. I'll probably take some paint and kind of blend this in here. Since it doesn't completely cover, we'll just kind of blend it in or do something else with that. Now, I am going to take this little pumpkin. This is Form Flex Compound. It does flex as you use it. And I'm going to use this little pumpkin. I'm going to paint this one in the lavender. And then I'm going to add a little lavender to my print so it's going to kind of all blend in. So I'm going to take a little bit of this paint. I did not have lavender, so I'm going to make some. So this is Perfect Purple by Folk Art. And then I'm taking a little bit of the Marshmallow from Paint Pixie. And I'm going to mix those together to get me a little lavender. I am not afraid to mix paints. I love to mix them. And we're just going to make a purple pumpkin. Listen, you know some of these heirloom pumpkins are different colors. So it's okay if we have a lavender pumpkin. And if you don't know, if you look at the colors that are out for fall, the pinks and the burgundies are very popular. And why not use a little bit of lavender too? Now what I like to do for my stem is I like to take a little bit of the sour apple, a little bit of the chocolate souffle, and mix those together. So just bring some up here on my palette, just to dip a little brown in and get us a little bit of a sage color, more of a sagey color. See how that changed and made a sage color? I love to mix colors. We're just going to put that on the end for our stem. We'll let that kind of dry up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and try not to mess it up. Take this one here and let's go back with our lavender and let's kind of touch that back up. I was trying to be careful with it, but you know that happens. So we're just going to blend that back in, and it's okay to have a little bit of that purple. I kind of like it. So there we got a little bit more of the lavender. There we go. We'll just let that dry itself up. Okay, let's get back to, let's wipe that off just a little bit so we don't get paint on the back of our board here. Now let's take a little bit of that lavender and let's kind of mix it on some or one or two of these pumpkins just to make it match with what we're doing. So I'm just going to take this one here, and I'm just going to paint a little bit of that lavender in there. Let me get a little water on my brush, a little bit here. I'm going to take a little bit back of that white and a little bit of that purple, mix that back up again and make us some lavender. Just kind of blend it in. And then I'm just going to paint this, and I'll probably have to get me a little fine brush as well and kind of paint that in. And I'm okay with the purple. I think it's pretty. These are some out of, I get some out of my yard, and sometimes they have some different colors of burgundy and things in them. So we're just doing a little bit of a whimsical kind of added look with some of our lavender. And I like it. I think it looks pretty. Okay. And then you can take a little bit of your lavender and mix it in with some of your florals as well. Just a little bit here and there, and that's going to kind of blend that in there. If you watch Corey paint, you will see that she uses all kinds of colors and blends them in. I'm not a painter like she is. She is awesome at it. But I do want to add just a little bit. See right here on this pumpkin, it's a little bit different colors. Let's just add just a little bit of lavender in there. Just kind of blend that in a little bit on the side. See how that looks? That just kind of gives us a little color there. And I'm okay with that. We might add a little more. So you've got all kinds of different colors in here that you can mix and match. So don't be afraid to take a little bit of your paint and just kind of blend it in where you want. Okay? Don't be afraid to do that. Make it yours. And we might add a little more. I probably will go back over and kind of dry brush that a little bit so it'll kind of blend it in and make it look a little bit more of a natural. Okay, right there. Okay, now I'm going to do that stem a little bit. I think you just have to create and kind of make it your own. Make it your own. I'm just adding a little bit of that mossy color back to the stem of that. We're going to leave that alone right now, and then we might add something else to that. But I like the purple lavender kind of just mixed in places. It makes it pretty. Gives it another little dimension and color. So I love it on that leaf. I'm going to put a little bit right in here. As you'll see, you can, if you'll kind of look at some of these prints, you will see a little bit of that color coming out here. So I'm just going to kind of blend that in, and you're not even going to know. There we go. That looks pretty like it is. A little bit of lavender in there. Okay, let's find a place for our little pumpkin now. Let's put it over in here somewhere. Let's see. I think we might just put it right down here. And I am going to have to touch it up just a little bit here at the top. I'm going to get a little bit more paint. A couple little places I might have knocked off. There we go. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that darker purple, and I'm just going to do it a little bit on the veins, just to give them a little highlight there. That made that pretty. Okay, let's dry that just a little bit. Okay, I think that'll work. Let's get us another wet white. That one's kind of very used. Let's get another one. Okay, we'll put a little few pine cones on here and everything. This will be pretty simple today. Sometimes you just want a little simple crafting, right? So I like to use a little bit of wood glue. And my wood glue is getting toward the end, so I'm trying to use up what I have here in my bottle. And I do use the Type Bond Quick and Thick. Like that little piece. Let's get our little, I have a little wood pick out here. Let's get that, and let's get a little bit out of the bottom here. It's almost out, almost out. I'm gonna have to break down and buy another one. But let's use what we have. I do not use hot glue on my molds because they will pop off. You want to definitely use some good glue. I'm gonna use a little Fabri-Tac on the, get that one out. You can use the Aleene's tacky glue. It works well as good as this does to me. I have both. We're going to put that one right down there. Let's put a couple of pine cones on here because we do have some pine cones. So let's make it a 3D. Put some pine cones. Let's add just a little bit of this kind of this green moss. I just kind of pull mine apart. Let's put a little bit of that down in here. And then we can kind of put our pine cones. I like that. Let's put that down. A little hot glue on that. Watch your fingers. Use your little tool. Okay, and I'm going to put a couple of these little pine cones on here to give it a 3D effect. I'm just going to put them right here. I'm going to put one right here. This is just a little extra. And then let's put that one on here too. Kind of like that one too. Let's put that one on there. Put that right in there. Okay, I like that. So I'm just going to put them in. I'm going to put one right here on my pumpkin. I do also, now this one said it was, found that at Walmart. It said it was a, some other kind of flower, but it looks like a little sunflower with that middle, so I think you can use it for that. So let's cut this off enough to where we can kind of place that down on our pumpkin. I like that there. Let's put that there. I like that one there. I think that will be pretty. Kind of press it down a little bit. And I'm going to use this white one. I'm going to mix it in. I'll probably use a little greenery. I just like that one. It was called something else, a daisy or something, but it looks like a sunflower, so I think we can use it for that. Let's put it in right in here. And I've got this big sunflower, and I love it too, and I'm thinking we might can just fit it in right in here. I'm okay with it. Let's put it on. Okay, we're just going to put it right there without taking too much for a print. Now let's take a little greenery. Got some different greeneries we can use. Let's use a little piece of this. That's going to kind of blend in a little bit like that. Just going to put some different things in here, kind of mix some greeneries. I think I got those at Hobby Lobby, and I believe this greenery did come from Hobby Lobby. It's a whole long piece you can get, and I use this all season because it's really a seasonal greenery that you can use any time. We will get those glue ookies off when we get through. About burnt myself. We are good. Let's get a little bit more of this greenery. Let's just kind of add that in. You can always take a print and decorate it up with a little bit of different things and just give it another little element, a little 3D effect there. Let's put a little piece of greenery right here on this pumpkin. Just going to take that same greenery and put just a little bit right in there. Right in there. Okay, hold on. There we go. I think we got it. It's wanting to stick to everything but what I want it to stick to, and that always happens when you're creating, doesn't it? All right, let's put one more little piece out this way. Right in there. Just a tad of glue. Put that one right in there. There we go. Now I like that better. Like that. I'm loving the pine cones. Let's see what else we might put on here. Love this too. This is a little orange, and y'all, I get things all over me as I'm creating. I'm kind of thinking that orange might look good with some of this other orange in here. Yes, I do like that. Uh-oh, I just pulled my sunflower up, but we will put it back down. We'll put it back down. Maybe I'll move it to somewhere else. We'll just take that glue. Let's just move it down this way somewhere. It didn't like being right there, so let's just put it over this way a little bit, maybe. Just in between those pumpkins there. Let's put a little bit of greenery right in here. A little bit of this. And I kind of pull mine apart and it makes it do a little bit better. Let's just put a little greenery in there. Let's take a little bit now of our, let's just take a little dry brush here, just one of those inexpensive brushes from the dollar store. And let's take a little bit of that purple. Let's get enough off though, we don't want a lot. And let's just go around this a little bit with the dry brush. I don't even have a whole lot in there. Just a little bit of dry brush, and then we'll probably go back with a little bit of wax on that. That kind of blended that a little bit better with our purple. I like that. I'm liking the way that's looking. Simple, but I still like it. We'll take another one. So if they pop out, just take a little bit of your hot glue. Let's see if this one will fit this cap. You kind of have to make sure they'll fit. That one doesn't quite fit. So let me see if I've got another cap. Kind of have to, it's kind of like a mix and match once they come out. And they do usually pop out because they do shrink. Let's try one here. This one looks a little bigger. Yes, that one will fit. So let's use this one. Let's just pop that one out, put this one back. We've got little sticks. We could use a couple of these little sticks too. We might use a little bit of that on there, just for a little 3D look. Why not? We might use something else. So we're just going to put a little hot glue right in here. Okay, let me put that back on its cradle, let it warm back up a little bit. Y'all know that tool does that. All right, let's put a couple of these acorns on here. Acorns, whichever one you want to call them. I'm Southern, so I'm probably going to say acorn. I'm going to put a little bit right there. So I'm just using some things out of the yard too, just to use some things from nature. Nothing else, we'll have one of them on here. Kind of like that. I'm going to put a little glue on it. Just going to lay it down right like that. Didn't mean to push it that hard, but kind of. Okay, we'll put it right here. Okay, now let's take this acorn, this pine cone, and let's put it right here as well with that. Just using some hot glue. Okay, that's kind of cute. Kind of liking it so far. Let's take a little bit, I am mixing a little bit of the Royal Highness and white sand, and these are a metallic. Let's mix those a little bit and lighten that a little bit. I kind of like the metallic. Now I'm going to take a little of that metallic. I'm going to put a little bit on our pumpkin just to give it a little look, and a little bit right on this piece. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit and put on this sunflower just to give it a little bit more of that purple lilac that we want on there. That's just going to add a little bit right there. And I tell you something else we're going to do, take a little bit of our Aperol Spritz, which is an orange. Get that purple out. I'm going to take this same small brush, I'm just kind of twirling it, and I'm just going to take and put a little bit of veins on these flowers here, and they'll kind of blend in with what else we did. Don't have, not heavy at all, just a little bit on the veins, just to bring a little bit of paint in that way. I'm just using what's in my top right now. I normally just put it on my board. I'll just do that. And I'm just going to kind of paint that in the background here. Then I'm going to go back over with some other color as well. Now in here, I'm going to go back with a little bit of this brown and green that we got this color here. I'm going to add a little bit more green to that. And I'm just going to kind of blend that in places here, so that kind of goes in too, to our background here. Doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of blending it in, kind of making that kind of match up there. Same thing at the bottom with that same color. And I might have a little bit of orange in there, and that's okay too. Excuse me for having to pull the glue Yukis off. Let's get a little bit more of that. Let's put a little water with that. Sometimes you got to put a little water to get it to move, to kind of do your background, and I'm just going to kind of blend that in, right, if that's in the background. I'm painting a little bit on the edge of my print as well. And then you can take some of the, you can mix the orange and a little brown and make that a little darker, and kind of blend that in here too. Just kind of dry brush it in, just getting the edges of that to where it's not so much of your orange. And that kind of still blends in your background and looks fine. I still like it. I think it looks fine. Then you can, might be something else I add, but I think I'm just going to leave it pretty simple, and I like it just like that. I'm going to put a little brown wax on the edges, so let's dry that up. I'm going to go ahead and sand just these very edges right here with a little sandpaper. Looking good to me so far. I'm going to dry that paint a little bit, and then we'll add a little bit of brown wax. And something else I kind of thought about was a little bit of this New Penny, which is another metallic that I really love to use from Paint Pixie. It looks like copper, and I like to blend a little bit of it in too, especially on, like a little bit on our pumpkin, on our leaves, things like that. I do love that. So we're just going to put a little bit, I like a little bit on my edge. It just kind of highlights your leaves, highlight your pumpkin just a little bit. Just, you don't want a ton, just use your finger just like you would a rub and buff, but this is a lot better product for me because it doesn't have that scent. Just kind of blend it in without taking away from your print, but just to give it just a little bit of a hint of little love, a little sunlight. I feel like it makes it look like a little sunlight shining on that with just a little bit here and there without being too much. Just gives it a little shimmer. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that you can see that and that you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and please watch everybody in our collab. We have a playlist, and I will have it listed, and you also can go to that playlist and watch everybody in there. Thank you.